tricks. I mean, I remember at the convention in 2016, all the tricks came out. How to, where to move people, taking signs away. It was like the bag of tricks that they've been holding. And so much so that there were union leaders who said they've seen some interesting vote fixing in their lives, but they've never seen anything like this. And much of, the platform committee meetings which you were at, the DNC itself, and then the Unity Reform Commission, some of that was let's delay through process, or don't worry, you don't have to take notes, we're taking notes. And then later you look at it, you're like, this is not what we passed.
The platform drafting committee, an example.
Yeah.
We had meetings, and they dragged us all over the country for meetings to meet with drafters, to meet with people, and we got talked at. Just like in the Unity Reform Commission, we had meetings all over the country. Went to San Antonio. Why? Right? People would come and talk at us, and we did not get to the business of coming up with resolutions until the final days.
That's right.
We wasted months. And then I went to the Rules Committee, which after we did all that work, it went to the Rules Committee that is an appointed committee. And I went to the committee and I sat in on one of their meetings where they debated in detail the things that were missing in the resolutions that we passed. And in some cases, they were right. We hadn't considered this option. But when I had a chance to speak, I said, I'm really upset because the deliberations you're having, we could have had if we had had time to discuss, but we weren't taken seriously or respected as a decision-making body. What we were there to do was to create a show of this, and you guys get to make the decisions. We could have solved these problems if we'd had days and days like the Rules Committee to actually thrash them out. Same with the platform. We went everywhere, had people talk at us. And granted, some of them were experts and read papers, but we didn't get down to looking at a draft that was written by somebody else. It wasn't written by us. The draft was written, and we got to then talk about amending the draft. Even after the Unity Reform Commission, to go back to that, after we did all of our things, it went to the staff, who then came back with a draft that didn't include much of what we had.
They left out stuff.
Committee was to be elected. They made it appointed. I frankly, I understand, right? Institutions don't like to change, and staff like to protect. When everything else fails, the staff then sort of coalesces around how do we protect ourselves and protect our decision-making authority. They don't want to cede it, but for the survival of the organization, for the survival of politics, the party needs to be more democratic, more transparent, and more accountable. And I know that after 28 years of being on the DNC, I'm probably never going to get appointed again. But I think they need me. I think they need voices like this to keep challenging. But I've discovered institutions don't like challenges.
Well, and one of the things that you and I went to bat for on the Unity Reform Commission that I think would address some of these issues is getting rid of the conflicts of interest. And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, and granted, let's ignore like the Henry Wallace days where it was really done in like a back room with like, a smoke-filled back room, or on the floor of the convention in that case. In the modern day Democratic Party, there was like this little sweet spot where you had like a real vibrant party, and then they realized, oh well, we whatever their excuse was. I remember Elaine Kamarck said, well, the Republicans started taking all this money and were buying ads, and campaign finance reform was weakened, and we had to keep up with them, so that's why we brought the lobbyists in, and she was such a big advocate for superdelegates, and it's concerning.
I don't mind superdelegates. I really don't. I didn't mind superdelegates at all because.
Oh, you're gonna get some hate now, Jim. You have to explain why. It's just not the fight. It's another smoke and mirrors. If you addressed all these other issues. Out
of 4,000 something people voting, a couple hundred of them are members of Congress, Democratic governors, former presidents, former party chairs. The chairs of the individuals, the 50-something state parties, because it's the state parties and the territories and the District of Columbia, and national committee people that get elected. in their states and run for office. Part of me says, if anybody should be involved, they should be involved. What I didn't like about 2016 was that they actually voted by giving to the AP and CNN. They gave their votes before the first vote was cast.
Right. Which is against the rules, by the way, which was against the rules.
Should Congressman such and such have the right to vote in the convention? Of course he should. But no superdelegate should express themselves at all until after their state votes or at the convention itself. Because if you take their vote away completely, what's going to happen is that, and it's a contested election, you're going to end up with the governor running for delegate in a district. You're going to end up with the Congress people running for, and then grassroots people who might have been elected are going to get bumped because they're never going to beat the congressman in his district for that post. So I'm not, that to me, the problem is not the superdelegate, the problem is the money.
Yeah.
And it's not just, as you're saying, the money coming in, which obviously has an influence, it's the money also going out.
Right.
What does the party do with its money? Who gets it?
And those people are members of the party, the people who get it.
And that's wrong.
Right.
A DNC member who's a consultant that gets significant amounts of money from the party or from the DCCC or from the DSCC or from the Hillary Clinton campaign or from the Joe Biden, they should not be DNC members voting on this. And that's why you need budget transparency and accountability, because on the Unity Reform Commission, maybe a half of the people on the commission were consultants with the party. Of course, they're not going to want transparency. And when the DCCC says to a candidate, as they just did in Iowa, we'll come in and help you, but you have to hire our consultants. And who are their consultants? They are working for consultant groups that are populated by former employees of the DNC and the DCCC. And so there's this cycling of money coming in from lobbyists, going back out to lobbyists, and going back out to consultants who are actually former party people. And there's literally tens of millions of dollars that get spent in a year, hundreds of millions over a 4-year cycle. And there's no way of making that a more transparent process unless we actually create an independent oversight group.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.